their programs, they have a family planning program. There's a preventing violence against women program. There's a livelihood program, and they have mental health programs as well. And for Togo, yes, the constitution, there's a penal code, reproductive health law, they have a cyber security law, they have a national gender on policy and equality, and then they have national protocol for care and GBV survivors. For their programs, we have an education campaign called IAO. They have a program of excellence for women in Africa. They have a program called Matrimonial, yeah, solution for GBV survivors. And then Build Up Togo has online solutions for GBV. Now, the implementation status for Nigeria, even though they've assented to regional laws like CEDAW, it has not yet been fully domesticated across all states. Also, the programs are not even across all the states in Nigeria. Another challenge is due to the huge population of the country, it affects implementation. Also, when it comes to the budgetary framework, so they have 3 levels. Number one, there's low budgetary allocation. And even when the budget is allocated, Nkechi mentioned that when the budget is released, if you don't use it during the time frame, it goes back. And what they see is that usually, even if budget is allocated for GBV issues, it's not released or utilized, and then the money is exhausted or the money goes back. Did you guys say it well?
Not the money, the budgets, they operate zero.
Operate zero budget.
So what it means is that what you use, plan for the year, is what you should spend. But most time they don't release, they don't even give the money. So what it means that technically you don't have it.
You don't have it.
Budgeted but not released.
Yes,
Sometimes. Okay. And then, sorry, that was supposed to be low political will. That's for Nigeria. For Ghana, the same thing. Even though we have beautiful laws, implementation is a problem. For example, the Affirmative Action Act actually calls for gender responsive budgeting, but with the budgeting, you don't see sectors actually allocating money for gender stuff. And the act is an offense for GBV against women, but you don't see women reporting it and it's being prosecuted. We also have a lack of political will problem. Even though our laws align with regional frameworks, the challenge is when the states are reporting, maybe they're reporting on CEDAW or the Maputo Protocol, they paint a very good picture about what's happening in the country, which is not exactly what is on the ground. Yes, and so you might have CSOs doing the shadow reports, but sometimes too, the shadow report gets late to the international organizations, and so you realize that the shadow reports, which is the true reflection, is not what's actually taken. And then when it comes to the sexual offenses cases, we have a high attrition rate, meaning that even those who report, they never sees the light of day. Because sometimes the complainants will give up in the way, or they'll say that the police harass them to drop the case, or the family members of the perpetrator. So you can have people reporting, but the case fizzles out. And then the last thing is the gender norms. Usually when people report, there's a lot of backlash. For Sierra Leone, the same thing. They have very beautiful laws, but enforcement and implementation is a problem. And for them, the main problem is the budgetary allocations to the implementation of these laws is not enough. And then for Togo too, the same thing. And enforcement and implementation is a problem. The same thing as Ghana, the laws do align with regional frameworks, but what the states reports is not a true reflection. Also, there's inadequate prosecution of GBV offenders and the deep-seated gender norms. So basically, we have cross-cutting issues when it comes to implementation status of all the peaceful laws we mentioned. Now, to our second question for today, where we had to match out target audience for ECOWAS and then the national parliaments. So for us, for ECOWAS, we say that we need to target the chair of the ECOWAS heads of states. We need to target the ECOWAS commission as well, because it's the commission that sees to implementation of policies by the ECOWAS. We also need to target the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament. We need to target the ECOWAS Court of Justice. We need to target the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development. And then we need to target all relevant ECOWAS directorates. For example, there's an ECOWAS Gender Development Center that needs to be targeted. And then there's a Political Affairs, Peace and Security Department. We need to target them as well. For the Nigerian Parliament, there's a National Assembly Leadership, the NAS, that comprises both at the Senate level and the House of Representatives. So those are the key people to target. And then they also need to target all strategic committees and then the chairman of the Women Affairs in Parliament. For Ghana, the Speaker of Parliament is important, the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader. Ghana has what they call the Business Committee of Parliament. Usually, they will determine what Parliament should discuss for each day. And so, if you want to push an agenda in Parliament, you need to target them. It comprises of the whips, the Majority Leaders, the Deputy Speaker, basically the leadership of Parliament. Then there's a Gender and Children Committee in Parliament. There's a Women's Caucus of Parliament, all the female parliamentarians. And then there's a parliamentary press corps. So usually any news or media or anything you want to push in parliament, their press wing has to be targeted. For Sierra Leone, the presidents, they deem the presidents with paramount chiefs have to be targeted because they are all parts of the members of parliament. There's a majority leader and minority leader, the chief whip, clerk of parliament, and they have a cross-party women's caucus of parliament. For Togo, as the Speaker of Parliament, you need to engage the members of Parliament as well, the Gender and Children Commission, and then the group of female parliamentarians. So, yes, in summary, peace. That's all. Now, how many minutes? Back correction.
Okay, it's you use 2 hours.
Yes, they it will have a heart.
So we have deducted all their points.
Okay.
That notes.
All right, so let's just go around the room. Let's get okay, thank you.
Sorry, just to there's a correction we want to make on the regional, on the Nigerian very first, the very first one. Yes, please, where we have the 13 UN resolution 1355 is the regional framework. So you should go to the regional framework, but at the Nigerian level, we have the National Action Plan on 13. Yes, thank you. That's just the correction, but it's beautiful.
Well done.
And you
Feedback.
inside here. And detail there.
No, they just feedback. Yeah.
So it's my
emojis, all the
The good thing about the presentation, there's no
no right angle.
no
Exactly.
yeah.
Huh?
Collabo.
It's collab. Yes, that's the essence. So
You may share it, right?
because at the end of the day, if you check what we're going to do the next is to look at all of these, which one, like you do triangulation,
Yeah.
because you know there's no amount of resource that you're going to have to target all. Yes.
Sorry, I think for Nigeria, what has happened again because of the VVL program? What has happened is the rise of networks of women. Things are not the same anymore. We have national networks of women like FIDA, VAWG, Women in Politics Forum. Everybody is in the 36 states plus the FCT. So if a woman is wounded or a girl child, if there is any effect, now just press the button and the whole country will rise. That I just want to put that. I don't know how we put that, but to working in terms of programs, I don't know if it's a network, whether it's a network of women leaders or I don't know, women-led organizations, coalition, or is it a collaboration? It's one for all for one.
But it's under the auspices of FIDA.
No,
They have different.
they are all different, but now FIDA is
Now what?
law.
Yeah.
Now what is
Maybe we can title it strong presence of feminists. So it can be like this.
women-led
Coalition.
organizations.
Coalition.
Just a coalition of women organizations. Coalition of women organizations.
Strong presence.
Because you know, in Nigeria, sometimes what's the strength can also become the opposite. There's Women Manifesto, there's the BPP, there's that. Sometimes we just walk and
That's the feminist.
yes,
No, before now.
yes.
What I'm trying to bring out is that before now, something will happen and it will just go off. But now, when we press the button, we get the journalists, and that is VAWG. They will be present. We get FIDA because FIDA is law. So who are those who are going to pursue? Immediately, they take the case off.
Okay. All right. I'll go straight to Delhi since we No feedback yet. So thank you for the two feedback. Yes, go ahead, madam.
Okay, so for
So you want to use the slide? Or
do you want
you want to just show it? It may not be slide, it may just be Word document, right?
Okay, first and foremost, we want to thank our forerunners. Everything I've put there.
No.
Yeah,
of course.
Nearly everything that is there we're adopting. But in order to also adopt, so we're just gonna add maybe a few of what we've not seen. So everything there is mentioned through. We have the gene, we have the UN standard minimum rules for administration of juvenile justice. I think that's the only thing we don't have there. Then we also have my glasses.
Yeah, just what you can do.
Oh, it's this one. That one I can read. And then we have the UN guidelines on justice and matters involving child witness and witnesses, victims and witnesses. So in terms of the ECOWAS protocol, I need to let you know that there is actually no ECOWAS protocol, especially on women and child rights. There is none.
Okay.
What we have are just policies.
Child rights.
Yes, there is none. What we have is just a combination of policies and court decisions. That is what right now ECOWAS is using.
Yeah.
First part of it is the ECOWAS child ruling against Sierra Leone ban on pregnant with girls in school under the child right policy. All this is basically to just promote gender equality and so you need to note that as a fact, all right? So when we talk about policies, is nothing more. But going forward, what we have actually been able to pull out in terms of policies are the Child Rights Act for Nigeria, the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act, the gender policy. What we did in our group was just stop with two because there are lots. So we just stopped with three for every nation. And then for Ghana, of course, they had the gender policy, the national gender policy, the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act of 2024, the Domestic Violence in 2007, and then for Sierra Leone, we had the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, and the Customary Land Rights 2014. Now, what we did in terms of our review, looking at it, is in terms of the issues that are bound, that are influenced, why these things don't even work is first acceptability. People are already used to a system, and as men and women, when men come on the table, they say, why should this change? Why should, like the minister told us yesterday, somebody who is saying, in my tradition, women have to go through gender mutilation, and then you're coming to tell me as a chief that we shouldn't do this? It's almost impossible. I have to protect my tradition. So social norms are persistent, and the men are adamant of protecting the social norms, whether they're right or wrong is another debate for another day. There's also the issue of implementation. Budgetary allocations are very limited, and even when they are there, I remember when we were in the House of Assembly violence, they put budgetary allocations for things, and the person will come and say, please, via this, take this money and put it in another place, which is in this place, because this is where we actually do need it. And those issues keep coming up because the main thing that should be dealt with, nobody looks at it. The things that are not important, we're now going to go and say, let's put the budget there, right? Because that's where we can actually use our budget in sense. And then there's the issue of interpretation. How do they even understand this? Sometimes those laws are made, the policies are put on there, but very little orientation is given out there, very little information about the law. Nobody really gets to hear about it. Nobody gets to know what they're expected to do. And so what happens is that the provisions of those policies are not understood, and they are also misunderstood. So sometimes it could be a very good law, could be a good policy, but because it's misunderstood, they don't even want to be a part of it. I remember when I was trying to domesticate the VAWG law in Benue State, the men who have put them on the bill because I wanted them to support it. And so one of the men decided to go read the bill. You know, they don't read. So for me, I just put them on the thing and say, oh yeah, all of us, let's pass it. One of the men that went out came back and said, on the debate, he came up and said, no, they want to lock us up. We as men, they want to make sure that they lock us up. Don't agree to the bill. And his name was on the bill. I said, what are you fighting against? Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, he's fighting a bill he's supporting. So that means that something is wrong somewhere. So, misunderstanding. and then enforcement. Even when these laws even get to that point where you now even get them to be passed and to be understood and enforcement, who are the people who are going to enforce it? Barrister Barrett told us something. The same person she took a case to is the same person I'm going back to fight her. Who is supposed to enforce the law? So we have those issues, even with our law enforcement agents, whereby accountabilities are not important, sanctions do not really exist. So when you don't sanction anybody for what they're doing that is wrong, what do you expect? Nothing is going to come out of it. So I think more than anything, we need to begin to turn our reading glasses and our attention to those aspects. How well do we begin to see that there is some form of acceptance, there is some form of implementation, there is an understanding when it comes to interpretation, and then the enforcement must always be there. And what you do not punish cannot be stopped. So we need to begin to look at ways that we will advocate for sanctions, that they must be respected and they must be done. I think if you do that, we will get to headway. Thank you very much. Wow. Yes. So for day 2, like I said, we have done everything that our group has well said. Basically, just going on, and what I also want to bring here is that ECOWAS is actually made up of 12 members. But guess what? Out of those 12 members, in terms of macro, apart from the people that are really there, it's a worry for me that Cape Verde, for instance, we never get to hear about them when we're talking about ECOWAS. So what's the problem? But more than that, in terms of mapping, we're targeting the audience of the people that are here, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana, Togo. Then we'll speak forward to Gambia, because Gambia has been at the forefront of some women in and senators because of their position in Africa, in West Africa. So we mapped out who are our stakeholders, the people that will look at the parliament. The Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, luckily, she is someone from Togo.
Yeah.
The ECOWAS Committee on Peace and Security, whose chairperson is Senator Edwin Malvin, is from Liberia. Yes, from Liberia. We're looking at the ECOWAS courts, the ECOWAS Gender and Development Center, the ECOWAS Electoral Commission, and ECOFEFA. There is ECOFEFA. It's interesting to know that the female arms of the female parliamentarian do have an association. So yes, it's called ECOFEFA. So we need to begin to look at the caucus, begin to look at the women, bring them all together from the ECOWAS states and begin to champion this cause and begin to map out and also talk to them. They have a stake, particularly because they're women. And guess what? The president of ECOFEFA is actually from, guess where?
Sierra Leone, yeah.
And we're sitting here. So, in terms of specific target stakeholders, we need to begin to look at, in Sierra Leone, we brought up Women's Forum Network, the 50-50 women, the CGG, the Young Women in Governance Network, and the Market Women. We always forget the grassroots. A lot of times, they are actually the people who carry the bulk of not only the problems, but also the solution. So, I mean, if I have an experience in something, it's easier for me to talk to it and speak to those matters. So we need to begin to look at them. In Nigeria, Women in Politics Forum, we're here all because of what they're doing. So we want to still not only acknowledge them, but also to say they are critical stakeholders in the matters. We have an organization called FEPA, we have an organization manifesto, and NAPTIC. NAPTIC speaks to the issues as it concerns violence to women. And I think they are critical stakeholders because they have a gender unit that actually does deal with issues that concern women. I know that for sure because there was a case that I was dealing with and I had to take it to NAPTIC. And that was when I found out that we had a gender unit. And they were as swift can be. For Liberia, there is the Liberia Feminist Forum, Nigerian, the Women NGO Secretariat. We are Unprotected, is also an organization, National Council of Chiefs and Elders, the National Female Legislative Caucus. For Ghana, we looked at the Speaker of Parliament, the Parliament's Committee on Gender and Children in Parliament, the Women's Caucus in Parliament, the Collective Women's Movement and Women's Rights Organization. That includes the Network of Women's Rights in Ghana, Night Rights Ghana, and the Women's Manifesto Coalition, the Domestic Violence Coalition, the Affirmative Law. So drawing from this, what I would say in conclusion is that why everything about Africa, it looks like it's the same, Oh, there is more. The coalition and the Ghana CSC platform on the SDG 5, gender equality, and the Ghana Civil Society Forum. Okay, no. So the issue is this. We have all this. Why we map them up, must also remember that we need to do a follow through. We have strong coalition groups, we have strong coalition women groups, but more than that, how much are we pushing to see this to conclusion? I think there's where the matter is. And for us, I think we need, like for Nigeria, for instance, we need to learn from ourselves. How do we get to this point today? How are we all as a nation going to get to that point that we will do and get to it? Thank you very much.
Atama. 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 Lavako. Lavako. Lavarena. Huh? Okay, so for those who didn't, Atama. Atama.
You don't sing Atama sitting down.
Yes, all right, let me give to General. General.
Please, if you know that you are staying where you cannot turn around, it's better you come out.
Make sure you tie your waist.
Not tie my waist. The matter don't reach to tie me. Who are there? If you cannot turn around like this, please move from where you are. Okay. Or you push your seat backward. Can you push the seat backward or you come out here?
Please don't hit somebody because that violence.
Against the participants.
Against violent against participants.
For my younger generation, just sit down and clap. Are we together? Are we together? Okay, bring the energy. Energy. You are going to be okay there. Join me. One, two, force it.
Oh,
Get your been talking since morning. We've been talking.
okay.
And it's about time for us to, I think we can talk about
Okay.
quiet. You can see what we are doing, right? Yeah. At time, you do. How many people like to dance here?
No.
Okay. What we are trying to do here is you have been sitting down since morning. Okay. So we need to balance the body. Okay. Do a dancing process. Are we together? Yeah. If you are together, you do what I'm doing. Okay. Are we together? Yeah. Hey, when atama is one time, and when you want to do it, you have to do it and make sure you are balancing the body. Can we try that? Yes. If I say atama, clap one time. Okay? Atama, atama, atama. Some people are standing like statues, while some people are still looking at their phone. Atama, 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 atama. When we say labako, 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 you change the side. Okay? Labako. Labako. Abarina is 3 times of labako. While you do it, when I say Abarina, the 3 times you should be facing where you started from. If you are facing the wrong direction at the end of the 3 times, then you did it wrongly. Okay. So can we try? Yeah. Okay, are we together? Yes. Come yourself. Yeah. Okay. So what? That's okay. Even my shoe don't forget. Atama, 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 labako, 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 labako. Marina.
Well, this one is WhatsApp conference. So we're going to maybe later we'll do we will do watermelon. Help us to do that one later. Watermelon. You don't 1987 these are all community development strategy that okay, we will do all. This is workshop conference. So we're going to go to on the agenda for late. So we're not going straight. Yesterday we have an advocacy panel. We talk about mapping. We talked about all. So can we just have a way of teasing out? Maybe this can happen within another 20-30 minutes. Tease out all the things that have come out from yesterday's panel to this panel and to the recent work we just did. Like now we are doing something that looks like a strategy. For instance, after today, what do we do next? Something like that, so that we are setting a roadmap. It's going to be open microphone, but we are time bound.
Can I raise an observation?
Yeah, please do.
My observation is that this is also a validation of the study, right?
Yeah.
So let's have people raise direct observations into the group, because once it's validated, it's validated. If we have concerns on the issues or on whatever part of the study, because once we move from that, we know that it has been validated. Before we look at next steps.
Okay, we wanted to take that tomorrow and do like a picture that's showing the end of the conference, then we take it out. But you can, so that there'll be like a picture holding a report. We actually have some printout of the reports, but we are very technical not to share. If you check this presentation, and then grants.
The what?
This presentation just presented. Everything that is coming out, policy, these are all the things that were marked. So it means that you are concurring with something that you have not seen. That was the strategy. All the things you discuss in the groups. So by the time I don't know how to put it now. All the things you talk about Ghana is in the report. All the things you talk about Nigeria is in the report. So the missing gap will fill up. For instance, so Nigeria corrected, Dikechi was saying the 1325 should be moved to regional, and also said to Ghana, so we'll move it up. It's actually global anyway, but it's more like the Women Peace and Security architecture. So yes, but that doesn't connect. We have to also find a way to connect it to what we are doing, but that's where the report comes in. But if you agree that we can push that one so that maybe tomorrow, because I'm told that the UN Women Rep is coming back to town today, she'll be present tomorrow. So it's another opportunity to hear from somebody else. Then we just do a picture or something, then it become like something I can, yes, I'm coming to anticipation.
Just say, not contradicting what you've said, but I hear an exposition in terms of, because we keep pushing this forward. Yesterday, people were supposed to interrogate the reports and say whether it's correct or not, or the things that they did not agree to. And so we've pushed it again to tomorrow. The fear and the danger in that is that in terms of getting most feedback from people will be difficult, and people may begin to forget some of the ideas that they have, and then also mix up some of the things that they heard here that to what the report is actually saying. So I think maybe you can just take 5 minutes and have that reflection.
I want to further observe. I want to further say that, what you'll be presenting tomorrow, people to have had an input from here. Then you say you have validated.
Yes.
If you present the report tomorrow, it means we didn't validate it. and you did a presentation. So let's go with whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes you want to stand. Is there any gap that you have seen that can enrich the report that you are going to present tomorrow? You can pretend that we didn't hear you saying that you are presenting it, that you have what do you call it? That you have printed. We pretend we didn't hear you. So that we can have that, because let's conduct the validation. This is the validation now. We have done a lot of things. All the things we did was just group work. Some of us are not even ready, but what are the concrete things on ground? That's the exercise we have done.
Okay, maybe just to put it, what is printed is not the report.
The draft
is what, because that's why we brought it here, like you said. So maybe so we can always adjust. So now let's go down the room. All right. I'm thinking that. Well, let me not think again. Let's go. So what you think is important to put on the report? Right? Is that the question?
What is the observation? Anything they can do? Because somebody said something earlier that you needed to even show us what are the further areas for other things, just for comments on the report.
Okay.
For better improvement or anything else. Feedback.
Thank you. Yes, I think I agree with Remene's position that and it's just to have that. If you have a bigger room of it, that people that work as first and set the areas, so it's better than the critic, so that it's best now that we know where we want to adjust and make other further findings around.
Okay. So anyway, let me just go around first.
No, what I want, can we go ahead straight on? So do we want to people? I know I'm a researcher in the questions. Okay, you want me to facilitate the session?
No, you can bring something from them.
Is there anything?
I think let's go ahead to the best. Yes, you can't. It's one of the.
Say, can we go? Do you want us to take a group walk, or do you want us to just to raise their hand and just speak to what the issues they are?
Okay. I thought when they say it should be plenary, so just be group,
Plenary.
just one. So
And if there is no comment, it means people are
accepted.
So okay, let me. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So yesterday from your presentation, on the reports, I noticed that most of what you were talking about, the participants, was through the online survey. So I was really concerned about the key informant, like sitting and like having a primary so like you sitting in front of me and you
So that we just get it right.
yes, so I didn't see you talking about that much. So I was although you mentioned it, the key informant, and my other observation is I'm really concerned about rural communities. I'm passionate about them. So most of the things that you presented was not really pictured, like going to the remote areas. It was like talking about Sierra Leone. It was something that I've done generally, but not at a specific location. For instance, Sierra Leone is a country. Which district do you target in Sierra Leone towns? And I also observed for persons with special needs, I don't call them disabled. So, and they are women and they receive violence more than of the able women. So it was not clearly captured. I don't know if it's based on our understanding, but from the presentation, I didn't see that coming forth clearly. So this, I wanted to forget. I've forgotten some because there's no space for second. So that's
Thank you.
Just to quickly add to what she said,
Yes.
I've mentioned before. You did say that your major people that participated in the research were people with BSc, at least first degree, right? And they participated. So that means we have a huge level of people that did participate. I think that should serve as part of the recommendations to say for further, engagement. The people that are not in this, so because you can't do everything. The research cannot be able to carry it, but it should be very vocal, identifying that this set of people were not involved in the research, and in that
that will form another form of investigation. Limitation. Yeah, those are where the limitations in it. Thank you very much.
So I think I actually dealt with limitation, and we said exactly what you said. And that we had a time constraint, we couldn't go, but we will reinforce it.
Yes,
Yeah, we reinforce it. All right.
I don't want to say something yet.
Yes. That is that question we had. Some question. Okay, so yes.
I like I said, this is just a process of validation. When you look at the background, because if we forget ourselves, nobody will remind us. When you are doing the research, it's important to put the background in which you are doing that. Like the Chibok girls, you know, at the time, in terms of the preamble, you know, for each country, whatever the girl child or the women are confronted at that time, there might be a need for reflection so that they are mentioned and they are not forgotten. Leah Shuaibu is still in detention, is still in the, with the, I don't know whether to say Boko Haram or the insurgents, according to them. So I think it's important for us to look at those backgrounds and highlight what women are facing at that point. You highlighted some, but then physically, I went to a meeting in the Republic of Chad and realized that more girls are in captivity than anything close to the Chibok girls. There are so many girls that have been taken. There are more than 300 that are still in captivity also. And so there are stories that are coming every day. I think it's just important to say that so many girls have been kidnapped. Many of them married against their wishes into a different environment where they have no control and nobody, the Nigerian government has done nothing. They are not, it's now quiet. I'm mentioning it because so that the women won't get quiet. If you're in your country and that is happening, anything that is coming up, mention it so that it's highlighted, so that it will always go to the media. Nobody is talking about children. Majorly, nobody is talking about Chibok girls anymore. The campaigners are tired, but the parents, many of the parents are tired.
That's fatigue.
But there is a fatigue because in the law, you know, the environment, the politicians are not doing anything again. There is not business as usual for the families. It's not business as usual. So many of the mothers passed on because you can't cope. If you're missing your child for 10 days, you know what it is. But they are missing their children for over 10 years. They have no access to their children. These are Nigerian girls, Nigerian young women. I just thought to put that, but a great job has been done for the volume of the policy that you have looked at. One area that I again want to stress, though I did that during I think one of the things is that the panel has actually dealt with the validation. They didn't call it so, but I think it took aspects of the work and have been able to specify. And so the Nigerian government has a lot of money for the policy implementation that we're talking about, gender policy, for example. But where are we in terms of the budget? The budget for this year for the Ministry of Women Affairs is more than any other time we have had. But the budget, this is August, end of August. The budget for this year has not started. They have not started. It's not about releasing. They have not. The president sought for the extension of the 2024 budget, and he has been granted.
But the budget is for.
The budget is for 2024. I have not confused you. The language you can hear me very clear. And so, I think this research has come at a very good time for us because they are also going to. I think Group 2's presentation reminded us of certain things we need to add, the organizations that we need to add. If we can combine that report, it's equally a review, of what is going on. And so the implementation is not what we are talking about now, but how we strategize ourselves. So I want to say congratulations to Women in Politics and the UN Women for this. I say well done.
Okay, so she has a hand up. After her, then I'll give you. Okay, will you just be a bit? Just a follow. Sorry, I don't wanted to speak about. We have an increment in the budget, but it looks like our priorities are not right. Because I had it on authority that the ministry is thinking of building another headquarters.
Another
Yes. Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria.
He doing what?
Want to build another headquarters.
Quotas will not do.
No, that's what I'm saying. So how do we put them?
I am
in
coming.
check? That's why I spoke about this.
Okay.
Because when the told me, I say you don't move to a headquarters. You're now saying except floors you headquarters. Is that our priority? How do we put them in check?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. They come out their stuff.
Okay, thank you. Just a reflection.
Hold on,
Um,
something here.
Just a reflection. So thank you so much for the work, and I see it as a point of entry for us that are on the arts project, because I'm also on the arts project that is working in both Liberia and Ghana. And so I took particular interest in this conference because the regional office had always pushed for us leveraging resources, and that way things over that others are already done. And so I'm really looking forward to having access to the panel document that we can use as reference. So if we are developing advocacy messages or engagement in our program we're going to one of the arts, I'm looking forward to referencing the research and using tools for the research is there. This is how it's looking within the region, because the project is a regional project. And so if we're able to leverage what Moving Budget is doing to advance our advocacy back in Liberia and Ghana, I think it will go a long way. And thank you so much and for having me here so much. I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much. So I will want to respond to some of the concerns that were raised, and then Vera also, because Vera is the lead for Ghana, while I led the Nigerian government. And so what Dr. Austin had presented is a synthesized report. I think the starting point is to say that the detail. Sorry, what do you want me to do? Oh,
Anywhere you are, follow
you
you.
know me, I can. I know this feeling. Okay, so the starting point is to say that if you have it may be useful to also look at do a deep dive into the country specific data, right? Which single report. I know Austin did a fantastic job in synthesizing, but you know that sometimes in synthesizing you may miss some a bit of things. Not that you miss, but you may not be jumping into your face. So I don't know to the extent we're going to also sort of, which is also very unique in itself, developing single country reports as well, right? So that people can have access to that. But Austin clearly, and the reports came out clearly to show that the methodology that was used was very clear in terms of secondary data, which is, of course, the starting point for any form of research or study or assessment you do. You need to look at what others have done in that specific area to be able to take first level learning. But in terms of primary data collection, we actually use two approaches, which is the online survey as well as use of KI, which is key informant interview. And so the online survey targeted broad range of stakeholders, right? Who then responded to the question guide that we gave. And then we have the one-on-one conversations with selected persons. And like Austin has said, and we reiterating, is to say that every research is, I know that research is not supposed to be biased or focused, but we know that in knowledge projects and knowledge management, there is always a bias because you cannot do everything. So you are focused on narrow to what you want to achieve. What this research sought to do was to seek to understand the impact of violence against women and girls on national development. So it's very narrow, it's very focused on an area. And so we were not dragged to other kinds of areas. So if you want to look at this, we then decide are those kind of persons that will give us the information. And so we have different categorization. We said women in politics, women in parliament. We talked about persons with disability, what we categorize as vulnerable population. So in Ghana, it can be women in sex work. I think very well when I read about women in sex work.
Yes.
So that kind of categories. So we are clear for us, persons with disability, young people, and all of that. So each country took their country's specific context in identifying who they talk to, right? Of course, you know that in research process, there are limitations, and certain times you may plan to say, I'm going to reach this number of persons, but the reality on ground may change the dynamics for you. And so you work with the numbers. So we agree that we are going to reach 25%. One, we know we have limited resources, we have limited time to do this kind of level of study. And so we narrowed down the persons we talk to, right? And so we did that, politicians, parliamentarians, women's group, and all of those categories of persons. So we spoke to people. Now, there are certain assumptions fundamentally that is inherent in this research. We said we targeted women's group, those who are working with different clusters of women and girls, because they have authority, because they have knowledge, and they have been working. Imagine me talking to Bosse, right? Bosse has worked 30 years plus in advancing women's rights at the community level. Is there any issue that affects women and community that Bosse will not be able to give us? So we targeted that. Again, is that there are fundamental questions that we asked that looked at cultural issues, how violence against women and girls affect people at the grassroots level from a social norm perspective. Those questions were there, those questions were responded to. So that's the process this had taken. In terms of responding again to Madam Bosse, the concern raised, we hear you clearly and loud and clear. In terms of the kind of persons that have responded to this, being persons who have education. What that tells you, and Austin said it, he said it yesterday. What that did is to say that the kind of people that also responded to this are persons with knowledge, persons who are representative of communities. Remember, this is understanding the cost. If you want to translate it or change it, it's about cost benefit analysis. What is the cost of GBV on every sector on exactly? So those categories of person is giving us that we are not just, of course, we know we're not countenancing the audience, community audience and community voices, but you representing of community voices and all of that speak to it. In terms of persons with disability, we targeted organizations with persons with disability and persons with disability as a voice, right, in different regions. I'm sure Vera, I'm corroborating this for you. So if you look at the presentation he did yesterday, he also took verbatim quotes of people who were, okay, for today, who were interviewed. So those voices are key. What again? Grammar not will kill me. Key informants, right? And people with authority, people with voice, people that are affected, people that lived out experiences. Those voices were captured, and that's why you see when he presents on a certain particular thing, he uses the people's voice or whoever that spoke to that issue to reflect on that. On the my sister, I like the points you raised in terms of entry for the project and leveraging resources. I think we have spoken to it even in the panel session where we said knowledge and knowledge management and knowledge products is key in whatever we are doing in terms of advocacy and pushing for ideas or issues. And we do not need to waste resources sometimes, because if something has been done, you do not need to repeat it. What you need to do is to pick it and see again, maybe a bit of testing to see whether this can work in my own context, right? But Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone represent the African region, right? In my village, during the war, they eat the cassava leaf. Some people were like, oh, they eat cassava leaf. I say, yes. When I was a child, my grandmother used to cook cassava leaf and we eat. Liberia eats cassava leaf. Sierra Leone eats cassava leaf. And I know that every other eats cassava leaf. And I know that there are certain things you can go. So what am I saying with this? Is to say that our context is almost similar. There are little differences that you can then pick the research. So I agree completely with you in terms of using these resources and don't waste energy in all of this. So thank you so much. I know that we have in a way validated. I'm not seeing any contention because that's what I was also looking at for in terms of the data that we have presented to say, you know what, this report is lying. We didn't hear that. We didn't hear that. All we heard is that you are affirming what you have said. Even we did not, for instance, in Nigeria, we did not go into interrogating further. Like we also said, in terms of the data on the budget. Yes, we said this budget is this, but in terms of deepening it, we didn't go that. But some of the ideas that are coming up has also shown us that these gaps are there. And then maybe Austin, overall, we can then use some of those ideas that are coming here from the conversations we've had from yesterday to today to be able to beef up some areas that we have not added. But overall, if there are critical points by the time we see the document that we want to say, please update here, please bring it on board. So Austin, I yield back to you. Your work has been validated.
Okay, so thank you very much. Will you help me clap for our very erudite researcher? So, all research.
Okay, very right.
One. So the Ghana team have also given me some feedback on some feedback that we need to add. So it's important that you let us know some of the areas that hasn't come out very strong that we need to add on. In fact, yesterday, making do my attention, I spoke during the panel, I spoke about the online, but in the research, it didn't come out strong. But I remember in 2020, we did a survey on cyberbullying and how COVID had affected young going back to school. So I'm like, okay, why didn't I add this too? But because of the structure, the methodology that we're looking at, these are areas that we need to revise. So I think we are still open to see how we can really shape it, because if it's original but also country specific. So if it's good, it doesn't matter the number. You get your methodology right, it should be quite representative. So we are happy to still receive some feedback on how we can shape it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Sometimes we all have our pattern of conducting research. I could actually stay in my room and write the same research work without talking to anybody. And I can.
But the method of research
is exactly. It's also a method of research. Yes, you understand? In today's world, just that the advantage we have is that it is not AI driven. That makes it even more rigorous. Yes, you were not around. I mean, until thank you, Auntie Kechi, for pointing that out. We quoted verbatim what was said. And the way the research, we had a framework of how the country should supply information. There are gaps. For instance, there are questions I need to ask Auntie Kechi for Nigerian one. But I said, no, let me wait. Let's come here first. So that when we are now done, we go back to say this framework. So, for instance, that the reason we broke it on one part is to look at the online survey and what came out. And the online survey is certain things you can also control. But how do you control it? Was to try to find out. Maybe the only thing we didn't include is to try to check whether person with disability feel, which is maybe we missed that out. To say, tick whether you are a person with disability. But in the KII, we reached out to person with disability.
absolutely
It was targeted.
So I think that our presentation, maybe you are Zoom, we all know, so you bash on a lot of things.
The thing that happened was that okay, so you don't expect me to present a 60-something page report. Maybe that would have just come here and say, yes, yeah. Reading it one by one.
No.
It will not be healthy. So these are experts in the room. The truth of the matter is that's why I told you that the things that have come out in the room, there's already sufficient data to expand it.
Absolutely.
We already see. But there are still questions I need to go back to Ghana ask all of them, have I got back to you?
Yeah.
Since we did I return back to you? It is intentional. So that when we come back and say, this is happening in Ghana, can you collaborate it in Nigeria? Can you collaborate it in Syria alone? Because there's going to be a data mapping at the end of policy that exists. It already came out from here. But we have it as part of what came out. But it was not sufficiently documented in Nigerian report. Ghana had a bit of, the Sierra Leone had more. So now we come back to say, you do a map and say, policy that exists. We list all of those and then book that country and take out. And then you then see color, the one that agrees. Based on what has come back, particularly the last expert conversation. So I'll come to Paul, Johan.
So basically, you answered my questions with your closing, with your concluding remark. I wasn't here, so pardon me if I sound repetitive in any way. So my major observation has to do with in the presentation yesterday, it appeared that the narratives that were coming out all sorts to be very negative in terms of messaging. But I think there are best practices, there are lessons that can be put into case studies. So that could be a reference point for readers. So let's look at how we present the data and use case studies, especially the case for Sierra. I think there's so much you can pick from them, right? They have advanced with the Jewish law. Ghana is yet to do something similar. We started, but we are yet to do implementation. There are lessons for us. So I know, as you said, you have 54 pages. It's a lot. But you see, nowadays, you can have a lot in your document, but when you are presenting, you don't find a way to also bring the catchy areas. Then the presentation may appear as if the document will appear as it doesn't contain much, but it contains a lot. So let's look at that. And maybe in future presentation, let's also highlight the disaggregations and the comparative data that gives us. That has been discussed, right? So like if you are using the block charts, maybe you can look at Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone. You can a bit of comparative data helps the audience to also employ data.
Yes, so if you look, that's what I'm saying. The way there's an agenda. Agenda talk about findings. So there is a context. There's a Nigerian context where all of the beautiful things you want to hear are all there. But it's findings we wanted to present. And then we went to now zero in on today's economy, governance, and then cultural. It was only 4 areas. I think one country did not talk about one, I think health. So I can't now collaborate, I left it out intentionally. So we go back. So the whole idea is, now, for instance, if you, okay, I wanted to say, let me now, why I told you we'll do it tomorrow, because tonight we wanted to share this report. After today, we wanted to share this report.
Because I didn't.
Yes, it was also intentional. That when now pull out all the things from you, will not send you the report. You'll not be saying, okay, I will think about this. That was a different way of it. You may say, this strategy did not work, but that's our style. Others will send you a report ahead of time. And at the end of the day, you come back and you're repeating the same thing in the report. So it's better you pull out the things that are inside of you first before we give you to, okay. That was just our strategy. So that's why today we'll share. You just flip through. Then tomorrow, what we have, we target it. This is work in progress. On citation, madam, on citation, we deliberately included that this work is for validation. You can't cite it. If you cite it, you must cite it along with the validation. Are you getting it now? Mm-hmm. So it's a preliminary report. So there will be a final report that will eventually aggregate all of this, which should have been shared formally.
Thank you, Sid. Please apologies so that we don't appear to be repetitive when avoiding this issue. But I think Mr. Paul raised a very valid point in terms of framing, because I'm very big when it comes to framing my thoughts or documents and all of that. So I hear you clearly when you say in terms of presentation of the results, positives, so that it doesn't seem as if we are crying, we keep on winning. But I want to also bring us back to the fact that this was looking at the cost, the cost analysis, that is the impact of VAWG in national development. So if you're looking at the impact, the ideology behind it is that there a cost, whether negative or positive, of violence. And believe you me, there is no, if you ask me, there is no positive of impact for violence on national development. You can also, you get my thought process.
Yes.
Will you say that there is a positive impact?
It's like you are operationalizing the positives within the impact of development.
Yes.
Right. That's not where I was coming.
Okay.
But building a bit of context and background.
Okay.
To advance some of the stories and create that made the struggles around violence against womankind.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. But we are lunch is ready. And it's is it too much?
No, we just want to find out. So what next?
So no, we are done for today. But just tonight you are going to receive not tonight, maybe before you probably while we're eating, the report will come to your email. Right away, the report will come to you. So what you should be looking at is when you comment, Auntie, please listen to this. I think I get what Paul was saying.
I heard it.
It was okay. We are okay, but let other people be okay. Then you put a dashboard that shows what exists. That actually positive, because what's happening in Sierra Leone is actually positive. And we continue, we have mentioned that time and again. And it's there as part of the contest of Sierra Leone. But we can't generate a hard copy. No, let there be soft copy. No, share soft copy. Because no, this if it doesn't go around, who gets what?
Those are having give to the older generation.
Okay, they say expired Gen Z can have.
Let's start with the
Expired Gen Z. Because we didn't print to distribute. Yes, we return it back because it's still a trapped.
No, give it back.
Yes. Read it. All right. Housekeeping, I will hand over the microphone at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's really lovely that we put our hands together for ourselves. I think we really tried. Yes, when you clap, do for myself. The relevant people don't want to clap for themselves. You clap very well for yourself and thanks for the best. All right, thank you. So before we went into like validation and getting comments on the research, we were supposed to do the draft of the regional advocacy strategy that we targeted at the audience that we mapped earlier. So how do we do the advocacy? Well, it's whether it's a long time or short term, the plan that we have for the project, because from here, participants here from the three countries would be the ones that would lead this advocacy to ECOWAS and the parliamentarians as well in their various countries. So when we come in tomorrow, we will do this tomorrow. But before we do this, we'll take the session on digital advocacy, which is quite important. Then we will collectively draft the advocacy strategy. And because we also want to finish early tomorrow, we will be starting tomorrow by 8:30 a.m. We've tried so far. We've been starting 9:30 at least, and then we'll be finishing early, actually. So that's why we still said we'll finish today. We will not stay here up to 3:30. So it said, actually, please, ma, I want to appeal on their behalf. 8 a.m. will be too early. 8:30 will be okay.
Or you want to go with Chief? If she's saying 8 a.m., we should start 8 a.m. tomorrow. 8 a.m. This young generation. This person work well, especially because we have still have participants in salon that will be coming from within salon venues. So 8:30 please, 8:30 a.m. will be here. Thank you very much and have wonderful. Got you left documents for today, so you can just go ahead to get your lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well done.
For today, it's 2020.
If you've not filled attendance, sign in attendance, please fill in attendance.
Yes.
It's not.
Like for administrations and set.
Stop that.